Welcome everybody to another edition of Dan's Grand Valley Railroad. Hey, it's good to be back. Sorry it's been so long since I've had a new and fresh video. Just a lot of stuff going on, all good stuff. I'm happy to report, but just a lot going on, and I'm hoping to get some more videos made and out there soon. Anyway, this episode we are going to talk about wiring. I've gotten a lot of emails, people asking me about how I wired up the Grand Valley layout, and also asked me about the lighting for the buildings and different areas. Now, I'm still remiss in not putting in my streetlights yet, but someday that'll be a project that we'll get to. But I have a lot of videos about lighting the buildings with the roomettes, and also using the Just Plug system by Woodland Scenics. So I'm going to be talking about this today. Also going to be talking just a little bit about the NCE booster that we have, the smart booster, how I wire up, why there's a 12 volt power supply down there. We're going to actually try to get me under here, and I'll be showing you some video of the wiring from the underside, just so you understand a little more about how I've done it. Quite a few people have said, oh my gosh, that's a rat's nest of wires. There's no way I could ever do that. And I just want to break it down for you guys that it's easier than you think, especially with the Just Plug system. I gave up early on with trying to solder stuff underneath, trying to solder upside down. It's just, forget it. So the Just Plug is really a nice system. It's a little pricey, but it's just a nice system to use. So I'll show you how I do that. If you want to go back and look at some of my videos where I do the roomettes and how I got the wiring down through there, I'll put some links in the description of some of my older videos that talk about that. Some of the other wiring that I do. How the heck do we have wiring way up there that goes down through the tunnels, you know, and down. So I'll talk about that a little bit coming up. Just want to remind you that we have another uncoupling here, and we're going to have an accident. Wow, that's great. Well, they're just going to push that. I edited out the first uncoupling we had, and now we're going to have a derailment, so we're going to shut her down. All right. Let's shut her down here. All right, well, we'll shut those guys down. Okay, so before I crawl under there, I really should take this bar off. I know you guys have suggested I have something on hinges, but I just don't need to get down there that often, but it sure would make it easier. Take that, maybe cut it right there and be able to take it off. That would make my life easier. But before we crawl down there, I want to show you the stuff above that we can talk about. So, Dan, how do you get the wires from here down to under the table so that they can hook up like that and go to the wiring hubs and all that stuff? Well, I have some very long drill bits that are about 24 inches long, and literally I just come over. I never glued down the buildings, so I just make a hole, drill down through until I'm all the way through under the table. There's nothing under there that's going to interfere with anything. And so that's how I get the hole drilled, just down there. And again, if you watch some of my videos where I install these roomettes and I light these buildings, you'll see it in action. But just to recap, drill a hole. Then what I like to do, because the question is, how do you get the wires down through there? Because this is a shelf. Underneath it is a void space. There's some other foam. There is newspaper. There's all kinds of junk under there that you can't just stick a wire through and expect it to come out a small little hole down underneath in the plywood. So I make a conduit. Now you've seen these guys at your hobby store, these evergreen polystyrene products. They make tubes. See, these are 1/4-inch tubes here. They're like straws. Let's see the ends. I like to use the 1/2-inch tubes. Now, you know, they're big. You have to have a bigger drill bit, which I do. But these fit down there real nicely. I just glue it in place. And then the nice thing is, let's go over to the bench and I'll show you. With the bigger tube, these Just Plug plugs fit in there very nicely. And the bigger, the better, because a lot of these roomettes have 2 and 3 and 4 different lights per building. So this one has 4 plugs, 4 lights that go in this building. And I believe this one that I've got here, this is the Ohio Shipping Company. It has at least 3. So trying to feed wires down with these plugs through anything smaller, you would have to either cut them off or remove them, which I don't recommend because I've tried to, you know, pull them off and remove them and then put them back on. Sometimes it's successful. Sometimes they just loosen up and they never get tight again. You'll see they have a little heat shrink protective wrap on here. When you take that off or cut it or anything, you lose that. So my solution was just to run the bigger conduit. You can push another plug in there, another one, and they all come out and come through very nicely. Now, there is a use for the smaller straws as well. We'll call them conduits. If you are going to run anything that doesn't have these plugs, like street lights or some of the traffic signals and stuff, you'll see I did it with smaller tubes because I didn't have to feed this end through. It takes wires really well. So just having different sized tubes makes a big difference. And obviously running a tube like this is a little easier than a big one. You have to have a long, big drill bit, but you can get them on Amazon. You can get them at different tool places. Harbor Freight has long drill bits that come in great for, you know, having to drill through all of those layers. Okay, with that being said, I want to just show you just a quick rundown of what I use for my layout as far as the Just Plug system goes. It does make it very easy to wire up. I can't recommend it enough. Trying to wire all those buildings by yourself with either, you know, other types of LEDs or soldering or doing all that stuff, it just is easier to go this way. They might be a little pricey, but in the long run, you're going to be happier because you're going to get them up and running in no time versus having a huge project of wiring everything. Now, believe me, I'm a solder guy. I know how to solder. I've been wiring up guitars for years. I've been doing electronics for years. I know how to solder LEDs, but a lot of LEDs need resistors in line, and there's just a whole lot of other stuff. And trying to solder upside down on a table, forget it. So I went to the Just Plug system. I had initially intended to solder everything, do it all myself. This is the way I went. So with that being said, let's just go with this first wire I showed you. This is actually a connecting cable. It has a male on both ends. So it'll go from a hub to another hub or anything that's female. So you've got these connecting cables like this. They come in little tubes like this. See, connecting cables, male on both ends. I have another set here, and then these guys. And then there's also extension cables, male on one side, female on the other side. I've got a few of those. So if you just are a little bit short, you know, where you've mounted your hub, you need a little bit more these come in real handy. Looks like I paid $6 for those. I don't know what I paid for these. I'm hoping tomorrow at the train show to pick up a little bit more. It's always nice to have this stuff in stock. So then they also have these stick-on LEDs. So if you just imagine, it's a plug with an LED light on the other end. So that's all it is. They're about 12, 14 inches long. And no, this one's 24. So that's pretty nice. So LED stick-on lights, they have all types of colors. Warm white is what I normally go with. I know they have bright white. And I think if you look online, Woodland Scenics has other colors and different things. I go with the warm white to light my buildings. Again, these are just stick-on lights there. So that's basically what comes in these little tubes that you see here. And then, of course, we'll just touch over the roomettes again. These are kits that have all the interiors for the buildings. Not all of the interiors, but for many rooms. And many of them come with lights. So for $22, you get the whole building interior with the lights, which is a good savings because sometimes the lights themselves are $10 for 2 of them. So that's a good savings to get them this way. So then let's go to what are you going to need for the hubs and the expansions and all that stuff. I know it's confusing. I was confused at first, but basically the way it works, you buy a hub set like this and you buy a power plug that plugs into the whole thing to power it. Now, I'm sorry I don't have my statistics in front of me. I believe that they will power up to 21 or 25 lights without a problem. I might have that on my layout. I probably have more. I've never had a power problem. When we get over to the layout here in a few minutes, I'll show you the power source and how I have it plugged in. Again, I just want to make you familiar with what you're going to see over on the layout. So you're going to see the light and hub set. Easy way to add lights to any project. Comes with lights, by the way. Came with 2 of them, stick-on lights. Now, each one of these guys has a dimmer. It's hard to see on the packaging. I should probably take it out of there. But there is a dimmer. There are 4 plug-ins, so you can plug in 4 lights. Each one has a dimmer, which I'll show you. I use those. They're great because sometimes you don't want full power on your building. You want it dimmed a little bit. So you can dim each one, which is very nice. So you basically plug your power in here from your wall wart, and then you have 4 outlets that will go to lights that you can control with dimmers. All right, if that's not enough, which of course mine's not enough. I have more buildings than that. Then you go into an expansion hub. Comes with a cable that will come out of one of these on the red one into here. Now you have 4 more outlets that you can go to. Now, the only thing about that is these do not have individual dimmers. So if you come out of one of these and go into this, all 4 of these that you expand to will be controlled by the dimmer on the hub. Makes sense, you know, it just, if that's where the power is coming from, you dim it, they're all going to dim the same way. So with this, you can expand just like a flow chart. You know, you come into one, you go out 4. Another one, you go into one, you go out 4. So you have a lot of unlimited branches that you can branch out to with your lights. You just have to watch the power. If you get to the point where the power is not enough for all your lights, then you can just, you know, start another one of these with its own power and hubs, and then off you go. This guy is a port sharing device, and I'll show you where I used this when we get under the table. But it basically is the same idea as this, only on a smaller scale. It's much smaller, and you can bring power to one building and then split it 4 ways with this port sharing device, and then they're all controlled by that one dimmer as well. It's just a kind of a smaller version than this. And then I just wanted to show you guys that if you want to do your own wiring, they also help you out with these linker plugs, which are just, you strip your wires, you pull these little tabs and stick them in, and then you've got the plugs that you need to expand. So these little guys, these will link 2 wires together, and these actually are on wires. They help to expand your wire run, so you've got longer run. And then these are the splicer plugs where you can plug in your own wires. And I'll show you, once I get under the table, you're going to see all of this stuff in action. You're going to see the linker plugs, which are extensions like this, and you're going to see the splicers. So without further ado, let's get over to the layout, get underneath there, and just be ready to call 911 for me if I can't get out. But let's get over there and I'll show you what I got going on. Okay, over here on the layout, I'm going to start off with the left side here, because I'm not going to crawl under there. I'm actually going to crawl under on that side. But I want to show you what we've got here. Excuse the camera work. All right. So here you can see the linker plugs in action. So I've gone from just some red and white wire over there and expanded them, giving myself a little bit more room to make it over here to this hub that I have right here. So I've got a hub here. This controls the lights on the station there. So I'm going to dim number 1 and number 2. The station, or I'm sorry, not the station, the locomotive engine house has 2 lights in it. Here's the first one. You can see I'm dimming it. Let's see if I can get it better. There you go. Dimming it. And then the other one is the front part, and I'm dimming it as well. So that has 2. The other one is that building there, the Jewelers. Let me see if I can get a better shot. So I've got one is the bottom floor. That's one of the dimmers. And then the top floor is the other. So you can do stuff like that where, you know, these guys can have dim lights and the store has a bright light, or vice versa, whatever you want to do. So that's where the dimmers come in handy and are very nice to have. Now, here is the wall plug. I have a little strip mounted under here with the wall plug. And that plug comes in and feeds this expansion plug right here. And that's where power goes in. You can also bring power in here, the red ones, but I just run an extension from, there's power in, and then on this guy, you have power out. So that goes and feeds other hubs. So you just use these little expansion things and you power out of the expansion hub into the light hubs. And that's where you get your power for them all. Now with all of these that I'm running, I just have that one wall wart there and it's plenty. I'm sure I'll start to see some issues if I run out, but so far it's been great. So again, I have one hub here. These hubs control lights for the other buildings. And as you can see, I've got wires that go up and through. And these were actually all on these little stickers up here. I had it all, I just realized that I had them all real nicely mounted up here on these foam tape. And it looks like, you know, it got hot and everything kind of fell down. But yeah, I had everything stuck up there real nicely. Here is that little hub that I was telling you about, the little expansion port. So I've got one coming in and then it controls 4 different lights, and there is the conduit where they all go up. So that one right there controls 4 different lights. So that's where that happens. So you don't necessarily have to have this whole deal with the power in and power out. You can just run one wire to that, split it off, and that controls everything. Let's go over what I have sitting here on this shelf. You'll see an old school Radio Shack realistic 12-volt power supply. That just controls the stuff that I have that are not part of the Just Plug system. So I have some lights up above. They're on the dock and the station. Here, I'll show you. If you look at that light right there, it's like a street light at the station. And then I have them over on the docks as well. Those are powered by that 12-volt power supply. When I get over on this side, you'll see where these wires go. They go to a bus that controls all the 12-volt power that I need, because I've also got the traffic signals that work off of those, and eventually I will have crossing signals as well. This is just the power supply for the NCE Smart Booster. This is a circuit breaker in case something happens and I get a short. That'll cut the power to this so we don't have problems with this. This is a Just Plug power switch. This, I don't know why I got this. I don't really use it, but it does plug into one of these, and I can't remember which one, but it does plug into one of these guys, and it basically just shuts everything down. With one switch, all of the lights are off. There's on, off, on, off. So, I mean, it's kind of redundant because when I kill the power, they all go out. I thought I had to have it. I did wire it in place, so it's there, but I don't really use it. So that's kind of what I've got going on here. Again, this stuff is just lights, and also the mountain up above where the 2 buildings are, there's a house and a shop. Those thick red and black wires go up there, and I ran those wires prior to building the mountain and sealing it all in with plaster. So I had 2 wire feeds coming down. You can see how I hooked to them, and those are basically, they just come over here, they hook into one of these hubs right here and are controlled by a dimmer, so I can dim those out. But that's just basically a kind of a crude power feed over there because I needed to have these wires pre-run before I closed in the mountain. So that's basically all that is. Okay, we're over here on the other side, and these taped that I taped up here stayed. So this is a little neater up here. So these just go to my industrial buildings. I didn't have quite enough. Actually, I'm sorry. These are the lights going to those little street lights on the docks. I have one here, and I have one right over there. Then there's another 12-volt power here that goes to, I'm not sure what that goes to. I think it's one of the little buildings as well. And this is a building as well. Yeah, these are lights for the buildings. So if you follow that over here, another little expansion port that just goes 1 into 2, and that dims those. So that means whenever I hit the dimmer over here for those guys, they dim together, and they're in one building. So that's how it goes. So then you'll see over here, mounted on the brace, I have positive and negative buses. Those are the positive and negative that go down to that power supply. You'll see I only have a few things connected right now, but that's where I'm going to get my 12-volt power for anything I want to expand into. So right now, that is powering, if you trace it out, that's powering these lights that are on the dock, the street lights. and another one that's right over here. And then also this board right here that you can see, this is the traffic signal control board. So this tells you that the light right now is currently red, and it should turn, oh, it's this light, sorry. It was green, now it's yellow, and then it's red. And this is just different power that we're seeing there going on. So this is powered, you can see the wires going right to the bus. And then this goes up to the traffic signal. That's a little conduit. That's a little conduit. That's a little conduit. Tiny little wires that go into this board here. That's not just plug. That's all stuff that I had to wire in myself. So that's why I used little tiny conduits. Sorry, my hand's in the way. Little tiny conduits there for these wires to feed up under. And these are like, they're almost like hair. They're so fine. So they go into this little plug with tiny little screws. So that's the traffic signal there. And then you'll see here, this is all lights, pretty much all lights, but I've got two buses right here, positive and negative. These go down to the NCE power brains of the outfit there. They come up here, and here's where I connect my feeds for the track. I right now have 3 feeds. You can see the 2 black wires, the red and white wires, and these 2 white wires, one of them striped. This is the power to the track. So this one, the white one, goes across over here and hooks up over on the inside of the inside loop. That's where that one hooks up. The black wires here, they go right up in here. They hook up right by the station up here. And then this gray wire here that you see, it has 2 wires inside of it, red and white. That goes over, you can see, goes through the table there and ends up going up right up there into where the yard is. Well, actually it comes right over here, it comes through here and feeds right up in there. And of course that is the yard. So I've got 3 points of power for the track, and that's all I need. I've got 2 on the main line and 1 for the station. People have asked me, shouldn't you have a feed every foot and a half? Shouldn't you run more feeds? And you know, some people do. I don't. I'm perfectly good with the 3 feeds. I have not had any power drawing issues. All right, well, I did manage to get up out of there. I was actually able to just stick my arm in there. I didn't have to crawl in there. But in the interest of not having a 45-minute long video about this, I hope that answers your questions. Of course, email me if you have any more questions. Questions in comments. Let me know. Hopefully this sort of simplified matters. I know it still looks like a lot of wires, but if you just take it one at a time, they basically just feed the different buildings. Again, it's pretty simple. One of those little wires was for, this little building here. I'm thinking about even doing this one here at some point, just a little wire down. I think I have an open plug, have a little light in there. So you can see here, I thought I had not glued that roof on, but I have. I just have the LED wires just stuck on the ceiling in there, and that's all you do. So that's it. I mean, I hope it came across as simple as it is. I may have used too many words and made it more complicated than it needs to be, but it's definitely simpler than it seems from the onset. Okay, those guys are back where they belong because they were giving me trouble. Just had them, you know, scooting around the layout, and they were uncoupling and getting stuck on the inclines and stuff. So they're back where they belong. So tomorrow at the train show, I'm hoping to pick up a few more Just Plug items. I'd like to get some vehicles if I can. I'm still looking for a police car, 1965 era. Hopefully just a generic one. I don't want one that has someone's town on it or whatever, so I have to repaint it, but we'll see. We'll see what's available. Anyway, that's pretty much it as far as what I'm looking for. So we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping maybe to do a live shot, live stream for a little while, but we'll see how it goes. And that's it. So until next video, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you to all you new subscribers, and we'll catch you next video. Take care. A lot of questions about feeds. And oh, look at that. There we go. We have a derailment uncoupling. Wow. Okay, well, let's deal with that. Remind you that we have another uncoupling here, and we're going to have an accident. Wow, that's great. Well, they're just going to push that. I edited out the first uncoupling we had, and now we're going to have a derailment, so we're going to shut her down. All right. Let's shut her down here for you. So let me give this train a little more power. It's having some trouble getting up the hill there. I had some issues with some derailments prior to shooting the opening segment, so we're I don't know what he's run into. I have a few too many cars on that for him to pull. There we go. There we go. We got him going. Phew.